What's up, my friends? Welcome back to Well. I am Laura Munkholm, and today we are talking about the science of lead management, digital advertising in this insanely crowded wellness world right now. I have brought on one of my dear friends, Zach Mills, who is the former global marketing director for YBEL and Xponential Fitness, and currently the CEO and founder of ONBRND Marketing. He's the guy I lean on when I have questions about how to talk to our clients online, how to find people, and how to really weed through the noise and get quality leads into studios. Have a listen. I think you're really going to enjoy his take because, surprisingly, it's not about just throwing more money at Meta. Well, Zach, thanks for joining us today.
What's going on, guys? Laura, thanks so much for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. I think, actually, for those of you listening, this is our first podcast recording of the year. So I'm feeling all the fresh 2026 energy, ready to go. And as I mentioned just in the intro, Zach is one of the experts we lean on in the industry to help us understand this insane world of lead generation, digital advertising, understanding how to market to a consumer base that is hungry for more wellness in their lives. So, Zach, I am excited to dig into this with you today.
Likewise.
All right. Well, I'd love to just kind of start with you as a human because that helps shape everything we talk about. So give us a little bit of your story. What context should we understand about your background, how you landed into marketing for wellness, and really what shaped your path to get here?
Totally. Yeah. I think the background really kind of starts from just how I was brought up. I was a former collegiate athlete, really fell in love with the whole training, wellness, just kind of athletic side of things. And after I graduated, ended up working at an ad agency, one of the bigger ones here in Orange County, California. And then from there, jumped around to a smaller digital kind of boutique firm that really sort of honed my skills, I guess you could say, when it comes to overall brand and digital best practices. But as we know, the landscape is evolving faster than we can, I feel like, at this point, right? That's really what kind of set the tone. And then from there, I got my first stint in the industry just before COVID, 2018, 2019 or so, for a small company called YogaSix Fitness on the vendor side of the industry. Cool equipment company out of Australia. Brought them to the US, really oversaw global marketing and really digital best practices for them. And then by the time it was about 2-3 years later, so we were in 60 plus countries worldwide, doing anywhere between 7 to 8 million or so annually across the board. And got recruited by a little company called Xponential Fitness. And that's where my stint in the operator side of the industry really came. And I was running marketing for 2 of their brands, AKT and YogaSix at the time. YogaSix was definitely the one that was kind of fired on all cylinders. AKT was, sort of the redheaded stepchild, if you will. And I apologize if that's not an appropriate saying to say at any point in this time. But regardless, it was really kind of trial by fire when it came to that industry in particular and just the overall boutique space. So having that and running that for a couple of years really saw a lot of opportunity in the space from a digital marketing best practices standpoint to really support studio owners, right? And really kind of plug the holes in their overall funnels and it's really their digital infrastructure. And that's what led me to branch out and really start ONBRND. And we've been rocking and rolling for the last 2.5-3 years since then. So it's been a fun ride.
Amazing. Okay. So how scary was that jump into like doing something yourself and really deciding to like, okay, I don't need the infrastructure of a giant expo. I can do this.
Yeah, totally. Honestly, I probably took a relatively untraditional approach, I guess you could say. When I left YBEL over to Expo, I started consulting. I made an announcement on my LinkedIn, and you know how this industry is, right? Everyone knows everybody, right? If you've been to the trade shows, you've you kind of made a name for yourself, whatever it is. And when I made that announcement on LinkedIn, I actually had quite a few partners, friends, colleagues, etc., reach out to me, just really inquiring as to whether or not, I'd be interested in consulting with them in some capacity. So as I was leaving to Expo, I still kind of had a side hustle, if you will, on the digital marketing side. And as time sort of progressed, I was able to build up a clientele roster on the side. And so it was a little bit more of kind of a hedged jump, if you will,
I like
right?
it.
From saying like, okay, I'm done with the corporate world. I'm not going to do my own thing. So, but I had a little bit of a runway in terms of an existing client base to really make that jump.
That makes sense. Little padding, a little less risk.
Exactly,
awesome.
right. Don't tell Nate Chang at he's over at Sequel Brands now, but he was my CMO when I was at Expo. That I was working on some things on the side, but he's a rock star. I know he'd support me regardless.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I find a lot of people in the marketing world, partly because of the nature of the job, a lot of things are project oriented, so it's
100%.
not uncommon. Okay, so you were at Expo and you saw how some of these big brands, I mean, I can tell you a lot of our audience are, single studio or maybe 1 to 4 studio operators or, location operators. And they're always thinking about, God, we're competing with these enormous, marketing dollars that the big guys have. So when you think about the advertising landscape and how to compete in it, first of all, let's talk about how it's evolved. You left Expo what year? 2024?
23, actually. So yeah,
23?
we're about 2.5 years ago. Yeah.
2.5 years ago. Okay. So 2.5 years in our AI day and age is seriously like decades at this point. So tell me what's changed in the last couple of years.
I mean, at the biggest level, or the first thing that comes to mind has to be competition, right? I think the overall digital advertising space is more crowded than it's ever been, particularly as it relates to individual boutique studios, right? When I first started at Expo, digital advertising was a little bit more forgiving, right? You could lean on certain bits of creative or certain ads over the course of 4, 6, 8 weeks, as long as they were performing, right? But really, with the latest updates that Meta has rolled out, particularly the last 6 to 12 months, it is just so much more of an operator-focused advertising platform to where you have to pay attention, you have to be on it, you have to be iterating and optimizing. For us, we try to do it 2 to 3 times a week, but it's really just the pace at how quickly things change to make your way through the crowded space, right? And the level of competition that you have on pretty much every street corner in the boutique space.
God, that's wild. Multiple times a week having to pivot, iterate, shift. That's, I mean, when I think about studio operators and even bigger business operators, that's just an insane pace. So what does your team look like right now? How are you keeping up with that?
Totally. Yeah. So right now we're up to 12 full-time employees.
Wow.
And it just spans between, myself, we have a couple of people on just like our lead gen side, but really it comes down to partner success, ad management or ad specialists, creative, and then project management, right? So those, I think that's what 9 of the 12 people really kind of comprise those 3 primary roles, because that's really the meat and potatoes, if you will, of what we offer and what studio partners really need.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you think about like the normal studio operator that comes to you then and is like, okay, here's what I've done on Meta before. I've run these few ads. I get, generally a bunch of leads at first and then it starts to die. What's the first thing you look for? Like, what do you audit in their process? I'm curious, like how you approach a brand at first.
Totally. I mean, the first thing we look at isn't even their ads or their advertising or their Meta ad account. We take a look at their existing MMS or their CRM, right? If they're on Walla, which hopefully they are, because you guys are clearly the best when it comes to the marketing suite. And obviously, like, I am biased, but also objectively, it's just you guys have the most capabilities, right, from the segmentation standpoint and really a nurture standpoint. But that's really where we look at is, okay, hey, do you have the systems in place to handle or to accurately nurture, effectively nurture any leads that are coming through the door, whether they're just a walk-in, a referral, they saw an organic social media post, etc., let alone, throwing 1,000, 1,500, $2,000 a month on ads where you're having a massive influx on a monthly basis. But we want to make sure that the foundation is set for you guys to scale, or for these studio owners to really scale and to manage an influx of leads. But that's typically where we look at from there. And then when it goes to the actual campaigns themselves, that's when we'll take a look under the hood in the sense of what are you guys doing from a targeting perspective and offer perspective and really creative as well.
That's awesome. I mean, for everybody listening right now, I love that you just started with that, because I think so many people's knee-jerk reaction is throw money at it, right? Like
100%,
throw money
100%.
at ads. Let's just boost posts, pump ads, get some lead forms going, and really how much of the time is that money just flushed down the toilet because there is zero infrastructure behind it, and those, interested parties end up slipping through the cracks or not being nurtured or getting the same generic email that every single one of your clients is getting a newsletter, and
Exactly.
unfortunately, the reality is when we start with businesses, when we get them going in our marketing suite, we see them use just tip of the iceberg and just, set up maybe a couple text messages or whatnot, but it's very limited. So you guys help kind of support, like, you got your magic formula of these are the communication points, these are the times that are most critical?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we have our go-to strategy, our go-to template, if you will, in terms of new leads, drop-ins, intro offer nurture, miss sale, really, and kind of cooled off or lapsed clients. But that being said, it is not a one-size-fits-all, right? The generic template in terms of where people are at in their lead journey are the same, but we'll start with kind of our go-to strategy. But as time really progresses over 2, 4, 6, 8 weeks, you start to aggregate more and more data, and more leads are kind of flowing through these systems. You make the necessary optimizations and you make the necessary tweaks, right? If your open rates are falling, your click rates are falling, and overall conversion just isn't where you want it to be, then those are the first indicators saying that, okay, hey, we need to shift some things, whether it's cadence, frequency, individual channel, email versus SMS, etc. But yeah, we definitely have our go-to, but we're optimizing for the automations between 1 to 2 times a month, I would say.
Okay, so you're doing about how many touch points then total?
Total touch points with the customers, it's broken
like a
out.
Lead.
Like a lead. So usually we nurture them over the course of 10 to 14 days, and it would be anywhere between 6 to 10 during that time, spanning across email and SMS. We like to shift up individual channels so that way it doesn't seem too in your face, like they're getting an email every single day or a text message every single day. So being a little bit sporadic and a little bit strategic between those two pieces is typically what we've found to be the most successful.
Okay. Wow. I think so many people are hesitant to go beyond 1 or 2. And I mean, even what we find in selling software is that sometimes we have to touch 20 times before someone will engage, open, reach out, respond. So it's a busy world, it's a noisy world, and we're cutting through a lot of garbage to get to the folks that are really right for us all the time.
Spot on.
Okay, so once you have that infrastructure down, I know you've been really successful with Meta, and that is hard in this crowded landscape. So what is it about Meta that is a particularly successful tool for studios that are really trying to establish a brand or kind of hammer home a brand message?
100%. I mean, at the end of the day, it's where your customers are, right? I mean, they are on Instagram, they are on Facebook, right? Obviously, Let's Skews a little bit older in terms of overall usage, but Meta is going to be your single hand most effective tool in reaching your target audience, right? And then from just a cost efficiency standpoint, however many people you're able to touch with, even $500 a month or so goes well beyond any other type of marketing platform that you can potentially deploy a strategy on, right? But that's really first and foremost is that you want to advertise and you want to be where your customers are, right? And it's great to have an organic social presence. That's absolutely pivotal, 100%. But organic social isn't necessarily a big lead generation tool, right? What we have found is that it's fantastic for community, it's fantastic for retention, overall engagement, studio updates, etc. And you want to treat it such as that. It should not be treated as an advertising billboard, right, on an ongoing basis. That's where the Meta ad campaigns really come to play.
Okay. No, I didn't prep you for this, so you can tell me this isn't your jam, but what about TikTok?
Nope, fair enough. TikTok, we've tried a handful of different times. What we have found on TikTok, the best way to really scale to get any type of engagement on that platform isn't necessarily pay to play, especially with anything that's a service-based business, which all of our studio partners are.
Right.
It's great for advertising for e-commerce brands, typically anywhere between the $50 to $100 range. However, the lead quality that we've seen on that front is not nearly as high as what we've seen with Meta and Google.
Okay.
So if you want to do TikTok, I think organic is 100% the way to go there in terms of just the virality of the platform itself, right? And just
Right.
curating consistent content. And then if you really want to make a splash on there and you have some available ad dollars, I would say bringing in a local influencer, to create posts on your behalf for TikTok is probably the more scalable way to make a splash on that platform in particular.
Okay, that's a really good point. And now influencer, is that something you leverage with Instagram as well? Like if a studio is coming to you in Seattle and says like, okay, we've been trying ads, we have the process down in our system. Is that the next place you go, influencer marketing?
Not exactly. It's more so kind of the other way around, where
Oh, okay.
they've tried influencers, or they've been posting a bunch, right? They've boosted a couple of posts, like you said, and then they want a little bit more guidance, a little bit more strategy, and really kind of just understanding like what it takes to run a successful meta campaign. And I feel like what a lot of these studio operators don't necessarily understand, especially the more 1 to 2 location type of pieces, is that meta is it's an ever evolving door, right? And it is very much a pay to play platform where it rewards businesses and studios that spend with it and advertise on it on a consistent, ongoing basis, right? Sure, you can have some campaigns where you're running for 4 to 6 weeks at a time just to get a little bit of influx, but we absolutely, absolutely recommend to all of our studio partners that you have some type of campaign, whether it's top of funnel awareness or lead generation, running at all times. Because again, that's just where you're going to get the most bang for your buck from an impression and awareness standpoint. And it's really where you're going to get the most cost efficient leads as well from a digital perspective.
Yeah, well, let's underscore that for everybody. Consistency, it sounds like, is more important than like the big dollar influxes here and there.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They want retention. Think about studios. We'd rather somebody downgrade to a 4 times a month membership from their unlimited as long as we don't lose that credit card on file,
Correct.
But,
correct. No, it's
okay.
it's very, very similar in that regard. And the more that you're advertising, the more consistent you are, the more data that your pixel and your individual ad account is actually aggregating. So the more effective it's going to be at targeting the right people, giving you the right signals, and really just increasing the ROI of your campaign spend.
Okay, that's super helpful. So obviously you've done this well sometimes, most of the time. Would you mind?
Most of the times, yeah.
Most of the time?
I'll be the first to tell you. There's
Good
some
job.
campaigns that we run where it's like, damn, what is going on, right? But
Yeah.
we do everything we can to fix it. So nobody's perfect,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think we do. I
Well,
think we do a good job.
yeah, I imagine nobody in your world can be perfect because of how much meta changes and how
100%.
little control you have sometimes. But tell us about some success stories. Like, I'd love to hear, as much detail as you're able to share. Like, what are some of the businesses you've helped turn around, or some of the ways you've helped turn around those businesses?
Totally. And I think it's a lot of it's due to new customers coming through the door in these lead gen campaigns and all things meta advertising. But really where we kind of separate ourselves, from any other ad agency out there is that we take a little bit more of a holistic look, right? The first thing that we do with these businesses is we dive in and we take a look at the infrastructure, right? Natural Pilates, who obviously this is how we met, right? Over close to a year ago coming on, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But when we first started working with Laura Wilson and the team over at Natural Pilates, they have a fantastic business, incredible classes, programming is next to none. Laura Wilson is one of the best Pilates instructors that you'll meet. So, she had developed a brand around just that in-studio experience. However, the infrastructure was just plugged with holes. And this is a business that had been around for 15 plus years at the time we started working with them, right? So the first thing that we did is really just kind of take a look at their existing infrastructure, lead nurture process, and just overall, kind of customer touch point systems, and really kind of flip those around. And, since that time, 2.5 years later, since we've been working with them, they were at 4 locations to start. They are set to open their 11th and 12th year over the course of the next 3-4 months. So, with that, I think there's just been consistent, steady growth on, across every single studio location. And she now has the confidence that they have the systems in place to go now scale, right? And to open additional locations, because the backbone is where it needs to be. And I will say again, not to toot your guys' horn, but since making the jump from MindBody with them to Walla, early last year, it's been, again, a game changer for what we've been able to do on the paid side and the email side of things as well.
Oh, I love that. I mean, obviously thrilled that Walla has been such a game changer for them, but also I love just the confidence in scaling, because that's such a scary part of, taking a business to the next level, is knowing that there's a little bit of predictability, right? Like
100%.
From Walla's perspective, that's the battle, is always how can we know exactly, not exactly, but with a certain level of certainty, what will happen if we invest X number of dollars into this marketing channel, or into hiring this type of person, or in their case, opening this new studio and hiring X number of teachers. So just that level of confidence makes me feel so good about this industry.
100%.
Now, obviously, Pilates and Legree and anything with a reformer and springs seems to be, or I don't even know, a machine with springs. I can't even say reformer, I don't think.
I was gonna say, yeah, you gotta be careful with that one. You gotta run it past the legal team.
I know. Is exploding. So, I mean, to stand out in the Pilates and reformer and megaformer space right now, is it just crazy expensive?
It comes in waves, right? Like all things, media gets a little bit more expensive and a little bit cheaper throughout the year. We are in the new year, new you type of vibe right now, as this is being recorded, right, on January 7th. So media tends to come a little bit cheaper, specifically for our industry during this time, right? But honestly, we haven't seen too much variability when it comes to just overall CPM, or cost per impression, cost per click, and really cost per lead as well, right? I think the big thing is, there's increasing competition, but the demand has surged right along with it, right? So
Great.
I think those two are really kind of pacing next to one another. So the big thing is, you're not necessarily competing for media space or ad space. It's more so the customer's attention and really their business at the end of the day. So it really comes down to creative offering and how you're going to be positioning yourself on the marketing side.
I love that. That's such good news. I mean, I keep hearing people, worried about saturation, or worried about, like, have we hit the peak demand for this type of business? And I mean, listen, I just went to go sign up for a Pilates class yesterday at the studio that typically has space, like, within a couple days, and all of their classes are waitlisted this week. So
there you go.
There's demand still. I'm excited to see it. Okay, so I think, especially when it comes to advertising, there are a lot of horror stories. Like, there's a lot of industry snake oil. There's a lot that people have been disappointed by in the past. Is there any guidance or just kind of advice you would give the listeners around what to look out for, what to ask about? I mean, help us out.
100%. I think just be cautious if anybody's selling tactics without context, right? Or results without case studies or proof, right? Ad agencies are absolutely notorious for this. I know it. It's kind of like the old adage of the sleazy car salesman, right? Is that there's a lot of ad agencies out there that promise a lot, but you have to be able to make your way through the noise. Excuse me. And in doing so, ads alone aren't necessarily a strategy, right? To my earlier point, you have to make sure that you're structurally set up to handle any influx of leads that come into your system. So before you even think about putting $1 or let alone $1,000 towards Meta or Google or even TikTok advertising, whatever it is you're looking at, make sure that any person or any contact that comes into your system is going to be communicated with on a consistent basis over the course of 3, 5, 7, 14 days, whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
I think
that's a really good point. I mean, I think the interesting thing I've seen is there are a lot of people who say like, oh, we're not going to be able to show you results for 3 months, 6 months, whatever it might be, which I totally understand, but they don't go into the system first like you do. And I will say, just having worked with so many advertising agencies, they usually have their like, oh, we'll handle it all in our Go High Level or in our whatever system we use outside your software, which in my experience working with studios before Walla and now with Walla, people transitioning over, it creates a tremendous amount of friction in the process and
100%.
extra work for your team, right? Like the part of the goal with building Walla was we saw how many systems people were using and how many Excel spreadsheets existed outside of their system that were like, take something from Meta, here, put it into this spreadsheet, then that'll be imported into Go High Level, then that'll be moved, and it just became this just fraught with opportunity for mistakes and for people
100%.
being missed. So I think, what we really, really focus on here, and it sounds like you do too, is making sure there's a pretty seamless and hopefully easy way to make sure that all of that is taken care of.
100%. I mean, you want all of your systems talking to one another, and the less touch points that you or your staff have to navigate through, obviously the more efficient you're going to be as a business owner, right? So everything that we do at ONBRND is 100% within the existing infrastructure of whatever studio partner we work with. Obviously, we are very tight with you guys and the Walla team. So thankfully, a good chunk of our studio partners are on Walla, and we understand the capabilities and the infrastructure inside and out. So all of the systems talk together very seamlessly. But we work with a handful of studio owners on Mind Body, Mariana Tech, Moments, Wellness Living, etc. Right? While there is certain limitations with those other platforms, we do what we can to make it work. But I totally agree in your capacity of, we don't have our own CRM systems that we force studio operators to really dive in and learn. And, say it doesn't work out 3, 4, 5 months down the line. Well, you just spent a month and a half onboarding, learning an entirely new system that's going to go away. Right. So for us, it's, as an ad agency, that's definitely the most scalable way to build your business. I get that. But to me, it's not the most sustainable. And we really kind of value sustainability and consistent growth on behalf of our partners rather than just doubling our revenue overnight. Right. So I think that's a big differentiator for us. And it's worked for our studio partners to date.
Love it. Okay. Well, let's briefly touch on AI. I mean, obviously the technology you're using right now, you're using Walla, you're using other systems. How is AI changing the game for you and the more successful studio partners that you're working with?
100%. I mean, I will say that there is a misunderstanding when it comes to AI and kind of the overall capabilities of it, right? I think there's a scarce type of model or attitude towards it of, oh my gosh, is it going to replace me or anything like that? And, the answer from what we've seen, at least to date and for the foreseeable future, particularly for our industry, is no, it's not going to replace you. It's going to amplify you. And it's going to just boost efficiency beyond compare, right? And I think if used correctly, it really just removes friction from the repetitive kind of mundane tasks on a day-to-day basis, right? And with that, just to give you an example of sort of the AI tech stack, if you will, that we typically deploy not only internally but for our partners as well. It's a lot simpler than one might think, right? ChatGPT Plus and ChatGPT Pro is a good chunk of where we kind of pull the majority of our information from and our pieces and our strategy and copywriting, etc. Poppy is another AI tool that's fantastic for copywriting. And again, we build boards from the ground up for all things email, SMS automation, ongoing newsletters, and particularly for meta copy. Copy and creative when it comes to meta advertising has become 75-80% of the battle, right?
Wow.
The targeting in days past has of lookalike audiences, micro retargeting, setting up individual drip, or multi-leveled advertising campaigns. It's just, it's not as pertinent and not as prevalent anymore, specifically with the latest launch of Andromeda from Meta, which really just prioritizes creative and hooks, right? So Poppy is a tool that we use to really kind of stay up to date with the latest hooks in digital advertising, which a hook is just that first 3 seconds that captures a user's attention, whether or not they're going to view through your actual ad, fill out a form, sign up on a landing page, etc. So that's one piece that we definitely dive into. And then another piece on the editing side, which I think will be great for individual studio partners or owners that are just getting started in their advertising journey, is Captions app. So that's really just a quick video editor. You take your short form content, whether it's your Instagram reel, your iPhone content, etc. You just throw a handful of individual video clips in there, and within 2 minutes, you have an ad style type of reel or format in both 9:16 and 4:5 that you can then go deploy across your advertising campaign. So those are 3 that we use actively on a consistent basis, and we just try to weave through the noise because it is everywhere you see at this point, right? Yeah.
Okay, so Captions app, Poppy, and ChatGPT Pro or Plus.
Pro or Plus,
I mean, it's wild how much efficiency has become the name of the game now, and
100%.
I love all of these tools. I think it's also once operators get over the fear and really just allow themselves almost this mindset of like beginner mindset, but also playfulness, just enjoy it and have fun with it at first, and it takes the fear away, then you start to see this explosion of opportunity and ideas, and wow, look what's possible on the other side. So I encourage everybody to check that out. I'm going to go check out Captions app because I haven't looked at that one yet. I'm excited.
It's a bitchin' tool, and I think it's $20 a month or so for unlimited edits.
Yes.
It's pretty rad. My only issue with that, or I guess my team's only issue with that, is all of it has to happen on your actual phone itself. So you can't necessarily do it on a desktop or anything like that, but again, you upload some B-roll to that, and you'll have some pretty bitchin' content to push organically as well as on ads.
I love it. Okay. All right. So this is a little off topic, but you travel a lot. Yeah. You spend a lot of time exploring the world. Have you learned anything being in other countries or seeing how other countries are advertising that seems like it's ahead of us, or that's where we're going? I'm curious.
I will say, in terms of advertising, no. I think we are fortunate in the sense that US is really kind of the leader when it comes to health and wellness, right? I think there's 1 or 2 maybe markets out there that might be pacing side by side with us, maybe a little bit of ahead, and that's potentially like Gold Coast, Australia, and or Dubai, right, or the Middle East. A lot of innovation coming out of those areas. Unfortunately, I haven't been to either one of those, but I will be in Australia a bit later this year, so I will report back on that front. But in terms of trends and everything that I'm seeing, it's pretty prevalent across the board as it relates to boutique. Pilates, hot Pilates is really the buzzword, right? And in pretty much every city, every country that I go to. And then second to that, if we want to look towards a little bit more big box or kind of traditional gym model, it's holistic type of offerings, right? To where you have your gym, you have your cardio section, you have classes as a result of that, but it's really digging into the recovery piece and honestly the co-working space and the co-working side of things, creating membership community type of atmosphere. So can you replicate what you're doing at the boutique level at the big box level, which
it's hard.
We'll see. But that's what we're seeing, particularly in Mexico City, where I just came back from about a week ago. We saw a couple different clubs that were kind of looking to mirror that look.
Yeah. I mean, you and I both live in Southern California, which seems to be the mecca of all things.
Exactly. San Diego and LA in particular. Yep, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I feel so lucky that I have access to everything I do here, but it is definitely overwhelming right now. It's like every corner there's a new wellness club of some sort opening for $800 a month and whatever.
It's just getting more and more expensive, more and more value stacking, right? And just trying to, because again, it is getting crowded, it is getting competitive. So how are you going to position yourself differently, right? That's really where you have to dig in and really kind of understand what your UVPs are compared to everybody else.
Yeah. Okay, I have two last questions for you. My first one is, okay, if you had, because I was a college athlete, high school athlete too, you and I both have
Let's
a
go.
similar background. If you had access to what we have today, how do you think that would have changed your sports, your athletic career?
Fantastic question. For me, it's recovery for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, that is the biggest thing on my side is recovery and just education as well. I think education is so much more readily available, and trainers and fitness professionals are so much more willing to be more educated, to learn more about the body and the dynamics and what's good versus what's bad, right? Back when I was playing ball, we had one strength and conditioning coach for the football team, the soccer team, soccer, baseball, and basketball, where five incredibly different sports, incredibly different body types, incredibly different fast twitch muscles that you want to use. So I think that would have been probably the biggest differentiator, I would say.
Yeah. It's wild. I have a teenage daughter and tween son, and they're both athletes, and seeing how they are educated, treated, trained today versus what we had in our.
It's freaking crazy. Oh my God. Just the Normatex would be insane.
Yes.
That
was our family Christmas present. We got the sweet Normatec boots with
so mutually beneficial. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. I'm getting old and I can't jump boxes like I used to, so I need them. But my daughter's doing it 10 times a week. So anyway,
that's awesome.
My hope for everyone, as I look at the landscape of not just athletes, but kids, teens that are moving and want to stay active, is that there's a way for them to have a longer, healthier way of doing it, because there is a lot more. Well, first of all, like you said, different sports need different things, but girls and boys need different things and at
100%.
different times. So it's really exciting to see. Okay, so I love asking this question at the end. If there is one message that you could kind of put on your this virtual billboard or audio billboard to our listeners, to folks in the wellness world, about either where this industry is going, or an opinion or an insight you have, what do you want everyone to know?
I mean, at this point, you sent me this question beforehand. I was playing around with a couple of different verbiage, couple of different pieces. But I think the big thing is just your offer and your automations before your ads, right? I think that is probably offer, automations before ads. Was that 4 words, right? That I would probably put on a billboard. I'll send you some creative concepts just in case you want to set it to the audience or whatever it may be. But I think that's the biggest thing that people oftentimes overlook, is that they're so quick or studio owners in particular, they're so quick to get new people through the door without kind of plugging the holes of the existing system, right? So you need a kick-ass offer, and you need your automations and your systems to be set for scale and for an influx of these leads that you're then going to go generate. So I would say those are the biggest things, and typically the most misunderstood when it comes to studio operators.
Okay. And I think I saw you post something on LinkedIn, just because you have some data around this now, about offers that perform better than others. Yep. Any quick insight there for everyone?
Yeah, 100%. Low ticket does not work for us. Free classes do not work for us. I will say for us, we usually like to go mid to high ticket. And that's typically the sweet spot that we found, is anywhere between $49 to $99. Perfect. That is really where we like to play in. Multi-class, ideally, over the course of 7 to 14 days. So folks just have a little bit longer of an experience and a more in-depth experience, if you will. Try multiple classes, multiple instructors, etc. It elongates the sales cycle slightly, but as long as you have automations in place to continuously nurture those folks between or during that 7 or 14-day time span, then that is 100% where you should start.
Awesome. All right. I think that is a perfect place to wrap this up. I think there's so much in here that's just really actionable, but also hopefully gives everyone confidence that there's still an incredible demand out there for what you're offering. It just takes the right infrastructure to make sure people interested in what you have to offer can make it to you, and 100%. That you make sure they have a great experience. So Zach, thank you so much for joining us today. And where should people go to get a hold of you? What's the best place to start?
No, thank you so much for having me, Laura. If anybody who wants to reach out, guys, website is ONBRND Marketing, ONBRND without the A.com. My email is just zach@onbrandmarketing.com. Happy to meet with any studio partner, any studio owner, just to have a chat. I mean, we know this industry kind of inside and out. We stay up to date with the latest trends, but our goal when we started this company was really to help individual studio operators just, understand the world of digital marketing. So It's been an absolute pleasure. Laura, you are an absolute rock star.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right. Right back at you.